The unsolved veil of history. Throughout history, there have always been great mysteries that puzzled the human mind, enigmas that remain unsolved despite countless theories. From the astonishing engineering of the Egyptian pyramids to the Nazca lines that only make sense from the sky. The knowledge of ancient civilizations was advanced enough to bewilder even the modern human. Imagine, how were those massive stone blocks moved? Who built such perfect structures and how? For centuries, no one has found a definite answer. But the unknown is not confined to ancient times. Even in the modern age, real events have fueled humanity's obsession with discovery. This documentary follows those mysteries, from the depths of the Amazon rainforest to the dark waters of North America, as Great Lakes, from Europe's silent farmlands to the shadowed fires of small towns. Each mystery, even when solved, only gives birth to another question. Let's begin. The Lost Explorer and His Obsession. The Lost City of Z. A century ago, there were still blank spaces on the world map, lands untouched by civilization, and deep within those white voids lay the vast Amazon rainforest, home to forgotten cities and the limits of human endurance. Colonel Percy Fawcett was one of the few who dared to face the unknown. Born in 1867, he joined the Royal Military Academy as a young man. His destiny changed in Sri Lanka when a local official gave him a strange map that sparked a lifelong obsession with exploration. Years later, in 1906, Fawcett was sent to South America to map the borders between Bolivia and Brazil. But for him, this was only the beginning. The Amazon's complexity fascinated him. It wasn't a green hell, but a reflection of nature's intelligence. During his expeditions, he found hints of an ancient, forgotten city he would call the Lost City of Z. At the heart of this obsession was a document known as Manuscript 512, written in the 1750s by a Portuguese explorer. It described a walled city deep in the jungle, with Roman-style arches, abundant gold, and a sophisticated irrigation system, a marvel of engineering for its time. Fawcett believed this was the cradle of civilization itself. But the Amazon is merciless. Malaria, venomous snakes, starvation, and disorientation haunted every expedition. Yet Fawcett refused to give up. In 1925, he set out on his final journey with his son Jack and his friend Raleigh. Before leaving, he wrote to his wife, "We shall return, and we will find what we seek." They were never seen again. Dozens of theories followed. Some said they were killed by local tribes, others believed they joined one. In 1979, Fawcett's ring was found in a pawn shop, but the truth remained buried. Even today, explorers who trace his path find stone ruins hidden beneath the forest. Maybe Fawcett did find something, but only the jungle knows what it was. The black water of Lake Superior. The disappearance of the F-89 Scorpion, November 1953. A cold night over Lake Superior. U.S. air defense radar detected an unidentified object moving at 800 km/h, something that shouldn't have been there. An F-89 Scorpion jet was scrambled. The pilot, Lieutenant Felix Monclaw, and his radar operator, Lieutenant Robert Wilson, were ordered to intercept. Ground control watched as two signals appeared on the radar, one for the jet, one for the unknown object. Then, suddenly, the two signals merged. The screen went blank. The jet vanished. No wreckage, no parachutes, no bodies. Just silence. The U.S. Air Force later claimed that Monclaw suffered vertigo and crashed into the lake, but Canadian authorities reported no aircraft in the area that night. The official records were later lost. Today, the wreck has never been found, just one more mystery lying in the dark waters of Lake Superior. The Hinterkaifeck murders. Silence on the farm. 1922, Germany. Near Munich, 6 people were brutally murdered on a remote farm called Hinterkaifeck. Their bodies were found buried under hay, yet the house looked lived in. For 4 days, smoke rose from the chimney, animals were fed, and meals were cooked, while the family lay dead. One of the victims was a 7-year-old girl, another a maid who had just started work that morning. The previous maid had quit, claiming the house was haunted. Days before the murders, the father, Andreas Gruber, told neighbors he had found footprints in the snow leading to the house, but none leaving it. He also heard footsteps in the attic. Despite these warnings, he never contacted the police. That night, someone came and 6 people died. Police interrogated hundreds of locals. No suspect, no murder weapon, no robbery, only questions. Some claimed an incestuous relationship between Andreas and his daughter Victoria led to tragedy. Others believed Victoria's supposedly dead husband returned from the war for revenge. No theory was ever proven. A century later, the case remains unsolved. Whatever happened on that farm, it was personal, and the wind is the only one left to tell the story. The Sodder Children. Bodies that never burned. Christmas night, 1945. Fayetteville, West Virginia. The Sodder family home caught fire. 5 of the 10 children were trapped inside, but when the flames were extinguished, not a single trace of them was found. The fire chief said the blaze was too intense, that everything turned to ash. Yet later, it was discovered that the phone line had been cut, the family ladder moved, and both trucks disabled. It seemed less like an accident and more like a plan. The father, George Sodder, had Italian roots and was a vocal critic of Mussolini. He'd received threats before the fire. Witnesses claimed they saw a car with Florida plates parked outside that night. Years later, a letter arrived to the mother with a photo of a man in his 20s. On the back, it read, "Love, Frankie." There were no graves, no bones, just a single piece of unburned liver, later identified as belonging to a cow. The truth was never found. Closing. Humanity's longing for the unknown. Our world is full of unsolved mysteries, reflections of humanity's endless curiosity. Lost cities, vanished planes, dark murders, silent fires. Maybe each has a logical answer. Maybe not. Perhaps the truth hides where we dare not look. But one thing is certain. As long as the unknown exists, humanity will never stop searching.